At I think we're meeting here at 5:30, and then we're going to head over at 6:30. So you can either come here at 5:30 or meet us at the Belvoir at 6:30, and we'll watch it. It's pretty powerful little play, and we're going to have dress ups. So the theme is wedding, right? Our op shop has lots of unused wedding dresses, right? It's funny enough, we get a lot of brand new wedding dresses donated when people wake up with cold feet on the morning. So all sizes. But whatever your creative take is on weddings, you can do so. All right. All right. Hello. Are we good to go, Tim? Excellent. Welcome. Hey. Let me just put my phone on silent because I know halfway through it'll start tingling along, and I'd invite you to do the same. All right. All right. Let's take a moment to centre ourselves in this place. It's nice to hear the sound of a bird. It reminds us that we're in nature. As we gather, we acknowledge that we are together on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And we pay respects to their elders, past and present. We honour their connection, their ongoing connection with land, sky and sea. And we acknowledge anyone of Aboriginal or Islander descent with us today. Help us be here now, Lord. My eyes are not haughty, my heart is not proud. I do not concern myself with things too great or marvellous for me. Instead, I have quieted and calmed my soul, like a weaned child that knows all is well when Mama is in view. Mighty God, for the wisdom of that child, we all beg. Amen. Now we've got a double christening today, and that's going to be pretty special, and I think that little bird noise kind of is a little heavenly sign that it's going to be a nice one. All right? That's God talking to us. Whether we're listening is probably the more important point. We're going to have our psalm read out to us by long-time caller, first-time listener, or whatever it's called, Matthew, who when's the last time you were here for a chapel service? Let us know, birthday boy. Come up. That's his birthday today.
Well, the last time I was here was way back just after we would come out of lockdown. Come out of lockdown, we were still wearing masks, but I could go to the library and do all sorts of things, and it was good. So that was the last time I was here. That's probably about, 2 years ago, and I've been watching the service online ever since then at the library, and I haven't missed one, so it's been good. So I'd like to welcome anyone who's watching, and you can follow along on the screen. And everyone who's here, we can follow along in this. And it's Psalm 30. And we read the bold print together, and I'll read the other part.
Everyone stand up, please.
Okay. I exalt you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up, and did not let my foes rejoice over me.
O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. O Lord, you brought up my soul from death, restored me to life from those gone among the pit.
Sing praises to the Lord, O you, his faithful ones, and give thanks to his holy name.
For his anger is but for a moment, his favour is for a lifetime. Weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes with the morning.
Ask for me, I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. By your favour, O Lord, you have established me as a strong mountain. You hid your face. I was dismayed. To you, O Lord, I cried, and to the Lord I made supplication. What profit is thee in my death, if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it tell of the faithfulness? Hear, O Lord.
You have turned my mourning into dancing. You have taken off my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, so that my soul may praise you and not be silent. O Lord, my God, I will ever give thanks to you.
Amen.
Amen. All right. You can stay standing. We'll sing a few songs. If you need to sit down for a minute, this is just helping you get your squats up, right, for the day. So it's always helpful. We'll start with Another Day of Life. That's all right? Yeah, let's get into it. Thanks, guys. We had no musicians at Bondi this morning, and I forgot to bring the guitar. Darn it. So we just were once again reminded how grateful we are for you guys that come every week. Thanks. Yeah. Carrie Ann, do you want to do everyone a favour and have me not sing? That would be good.
Please sing with us, please, please.
I reckon we turn it up a notch and go put a little love in your heart. Yeah, let's do it. All right. All right. If anyone can do the Annie Lennox version, be my guest. All right. Think of your fellow man. Put a love in your heart. Will be a better place, and the world think a new world into existence. We don't just work a new world into existence. We sing a new world into reality. Because, you know, even in the darkest parts of the civil rights, in the apartheid times in South Africa, they used to sing a song where they'd say, "Over my head, I hear music in the air." Because even in the darkest times, they had to sing about the new world that they were going to build. So let's sing loudly and sing boldly. And this is another cracker. It's the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, and let's sing this one into reality as well. Thanks, guys. Make me a channel of your peace. You've earned a seat. All right. All right. All right. We normally have a time of open sharing, but we're going to take a moment to stop the world and get two beautiful people out here. That's Brooke and Ryan first, right? Come up, guys. And then Cooper and Frankie, come up too, please. All right. And godparents, we need you all up here. All right. All right, Brooke and Ryan, I want you to take a moment to look at your two gorgeous kids and look at what your love's created. It's beautiful. All right. Now, we are christening you two gorgeous people today. We've worked out one's 10 and one's 8. Is that right? Who's 10 and who's 8?
I'm 10.
You're 10? You're 8, and you're already taller than your brother. Well done. Don't worry, I've got all my kids are taller than me now too. So you'll probably be taller than your mum and dad one day too. So don't worry. Yeah, hoping. It's all right. It's good. But we don't start with you guys. We start with your mum and dad. All right? So, right.
Yes.
All right. Everything that these two are going to learn about the world is going to be from you. All right? This guy's going to learn about how to treat women by the way he sees the way you treat Brooke. Yeah? And she's going to learn everything not by how you love her, but how you love her mum. So this isn't just a christening for two beautiful people, it's for 4. All right? Will you continue to love and cherish and honour Brooke? Yeah. Yes. Now, Brooke, guess what? Most of the things they're going to learn about what it is to be a man is going to be learnt by you, from you, right? Not by you, from you. Because, the way things tend to shake out is no matter how much we talk a big game about sharing domestic arrangements, we know where the load falls most of the time. And so he's going to learn about what it means to be a man through you. Not only through what you say, but through how he sees you treating Ryan. So continue to hold and love Ryan to his highest. All right. And who are the godparents? All right. What are your names? Jill and Stan. Good, short, sharp Aussie names. That's fantastic. Nothing too flowery, nothing too fancy. But you guys have an amazing, beautiful task because you have to do none of the discipline, right? You get to give all of the love. We all need someone in our lives in whose eyes we can do no wrong. But we also need people who love us so much that we're almost embarrassed to act any other way in front of them. So that's your job, to look at Cooper and Frankie and to call them to their highest and to love them through every season of life and to work out what it is their parents don't let them eat and buy a kilo of it each, right? Yeah. Nowadays we live in a time where it's not just delicious and sweet, let it be full of gluten and colours as well. And everything that you can add into it. Gelatin, binders, emulsifiers, because it's all delicious, right? What's your favourite food that you're not really allowed to eat every day?
Cheesy drink.
Yes. When you become an adult one day, I always say it, and I regret saying this out loud to my kids, I said, when you become an adult, you should just high-five yourself because you can just eat whatever you want and buy whatever you want. You can have dessert for dinner, you can have a bowl of cereal for lunch, you can just do whatever you want, no one's looking. Until your doctor says, it's fibre time, son. I'm already at the daily Metamucil, but enjoy it while it lasts, guys. All right. Now, here we go. Now this is to symbolise the earth. This is from a place called Bondi Beach, right? You may have seen it on TV. A lot of people that look like me drown there, all right, and they get rescued, all right. So you shouldn't swim if you can't, all right. But no, this is to symbolise the earth because you guys are going to be here long after any of us are. And you're going to live on a planet that faces radically different challenges than the ones we face now. And in some ways, we're sorry for the state of the planet we've left you in, but we also pray that you too will make decisions boldly that are in favour of the earth. The word for earth and the word for human are the same word in Hebrew. You come from the earth and one day will return to the earth as well. But the earth isn't just mud. If you put a bunch of earth under a microscope, you'll see it's full of life. It's full of relationships that are interconnected with not only atoms and all that, but with worms and little bugs and little mites that all live in this cycle of life, death, birth, rebirth, and it continues to go on and on and on. So I pray that you will know that you too are from this earth and that you will grow up to do some amazing things for this planet so that your grandkids and your great-great-great-grandkids will have somewhere to live. So I want you to put your hands in this earth. Get some Bondi sand onto you. If I put that in a bucket, I could charge you $10 a pop, right? Because anything with Bondi on the front of the label is worth a fortune. I pray that you'll make decisions in favour of the earth. Okay, thank you. All right. All right, no, keep it on there, that's fine. Now, I need access to your foreheads. All right. All right, Mum and Dad, and is it Jill and Stan? That's such easy names to remember. All right, it's good. Now, I'm going to anoint their heads with oil. Now, anointing someone's head with oil was something that was reserved for royalty. But these two, they are absolutely divine. And you don't own them, all right? You've seen how quickly they've grown up, right? So because you don't own them, but they're on loan to you for a little time, a short little while, they're still at the age where you guys know everything, I reckon. You're getting close to the end. Pretty soon you'll know nothing and all you are good for are car keys, right? So, and washing clothes, I think. So, but right now, it's a good time to remember that these two are on loan to you. The sign of the cross on your forehead. That you are a king and a queen. Here we go. What are their full names? What are the names that you've chosen for these two?
This one is Frankie Thunder Ferguson, and this is Cooper Stanley Ferguson.
Frankie Thunder Ferguson. Awesome. What great names they are. And Cooper, what was your middle name? Stanley Ferguson. Well done. Good, strong names. Names that connect you, no doubt, with a long line, with family. Beautiful. Every time you hear that full name, it is to be a reminder to you that you were created through love and that you are loved. If I hear my full name, it means I'm in trouble. Right? My full name's a bit too long as well, so it was a good effort. I could escape if Mum was screaming out my full name. But your full name, I want you to know that it means that you guys are protected, you are safe, you are loved, you've got a tribe around you that will support you. You got these two to back you up, to give you shelter and refuge sometimes, to fill you full of sweets and snacks and lollies, but to remind you that you are royalty, that you're going to make great contributions to this earth. Right? So, and this is a font that was owned by Ted Noffs. So this has been responsible for the christening of about 30,000 people over the years, and you're going to be 30,001 and you're going to be 30,002, and each one is just as precious. Right, so if you come here on this side and you on this side, we can give you a 2 for 1. All right? So let's try this. All right. Cooper Stanley Ferguson, I baptise you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. All right. Frankie Thunder Ferguson, I baptise you in the name of the Father. I saw you laughing at your brother. And the Son. So I'm going to give you an extra bit of water. And the Holy Spirit too. All right. Hey, come out the front, you two. Now's the time where I'd normally carry you. But everyone, let's all stand and welcome Cooper and Frankie as 2 children of the universe. Hey. Stay there. Jill and Stan, come and stand on either side. We have a song that we like to sing here. It's is sung directly to you. There's your first baptismal gift, some Kleenex. All right. Those of us who are regulars here, let's have a sing. All right.
None like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do.
And we didn't even have to cut anything off. Right, lucky. All right. All right. Now is that time where we stand together and say the prayer the Lord taught us to pray with some gusto. And then after that, I'll invite you to pass the peace. In this place, we pass the peace by turning to someone and saying, peace be with you. And the other person says, also be with you. We can shake hands, but right now, if you want to wear a mask, if you don't want to shake hands, that's fine. Just do whatever it is you're most comfortable with. You can elbow someone in the temple if you want. Probably not, right? No, we wouldn't do that, would we? Oh, absolutely not, no. See, I'm a good spiritual person, but today between about 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock when my Bombers are playing again, everyone is a child of the universe except the 4 in yellow tops, right? Isn't that right? So, all right, so let's stand and pray the prayer the Lord taught us to pray. All right, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now turn to those on your left and right and pass the peace. Peace be with you. Have you guys been talking to some of our guys? Yeah, oh great, yeah. Hugo, the big Hugo boss. I'm glad you did. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Birthday boy. All right, now we got our rowdy crew. Peace be with you. Namaste. That girl. Peace be with you at home. Hello. You know, this will be on, there's a YouTube. We'll send you the link and you can have this online forever of your christening, right? Yes, so there'll be a record of it. All right. I'll take some of that too, please, brother. Thank you. This was never a part of the ritual, but it is now. All right. So here we go. So we got Bernie in a Swanee's top to read us out the...
Shake down the thunder from the
I tell you what, mine's the disappointment derby coming up, but I tell you what, Brisbane-Sydney, it's going to be a cracker of a match coming up this harbour, so that's right.
Go Swannies.
I'm not sure that's part of the liturgy.
We've got the reading from the Gospel of John, 21 verse 3 to 19. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We will go with you." They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, you have no fish, have you?" They answered him, "No." He said to them, "Cast the net to the right side of the boat and you will find some." So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on some clothes, for he was naked, and jumped into the lake. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish that you have just caught." So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come and have breakfast." Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." A second time he said to him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter felt hurt because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." After this, he said to him, "Follow me."
Thank you. Beautiful. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Bernie. It's a good one. We've got a nice guest here, Susie from Queensland. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Good. You'd stand up and tell tell everyone what you do, you amazing human being. Maybe come up the front so people at home can see. All right. Oh, there you go. Well, you know, it's all spontaneous around here.
Hi, I'm Susie. I now live on the Gold Coast.
We don't hold that against you.
No.
No. Right. Sure.
I have been involved in the Wayside Chapel for about 40 years. So I was very involved when Ted was here. Ted and I were actually planning my yet-to-be-born baby's christening when Ted fell ill. So Ted fell ill during my pregnancy to my baby, who is now 36. So this has always been a bit of a spiritual home to me, and it's where I don't know, there's just something about this place. It's inspired me to go into a life of service. I now work for the Cancer Council in Queensland. Previous to that, I ran The Big Issue, which is a social enterprise of magazines. I ran that for Queensland for 7 years. Based on the beautiful work that's done here, my son and I started a community Christmas lunch 14 years ago on the Gold Coast, and we now feed about 800 people every Christmas Day. And all of that inspiration comes from my time here, my time working with Ted. I was very involved with Christmas Day with my family. My mum was the receptionist on Christmas Day, and my sister and I looked after gifts. And one of my closest friends, who I caught up with yesterday, she used to work for a radio station that did live broadcasts here on Christmas Day, and that's how we met, and we're now the closest ever friends. So, yeah, I don't know, this is... and I just, from afar, I just love the work that you do and your words. I'm just, forever inspired by this place.
Thank you. We're inspired by you. Thank you. Beautiful. You know, it's important that we are connected to a bigger story. That's why I really encourage you to come along to Wayside Bride. You get to see a bit of it from the start, and you'll see Ted come to life. Are you in town? It's on now.
I'm not here on Tuesday.
All right, but it's on every night, I think, if you Google it around. So at the Belvoir, Wayside Bride, you will see Ted Noss portrayed in 3D once again. And right at the end, there's me being played by another actor, but they chose a 6-foot African guy to portray me, right? And so I thought that was a significant upgrade. So I told Lisa, you could do a lot worse, right, than that guy. So I was really pleased with the way I was portrayed. Gave all my dreams.
What's the production called?
Wayside Bride.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's at the Belvoir currently playing. There'll be a matinee show or something today, hopefully, that you could go and check out. And it's quite a powerful kind of piece that helps remind us that, sometimes in life we get stuck on the business of doing business and we forget why we're doing what we're doing, and that's a really good way to help us connect back into that larger story. So Tuesday night, I keep saying Wednesday, it's Tuesday the 3rd of May. We have tickets, come and join us, dress up as a bride or a groom or whatever it is you feel comfortable with. It will be lovely because it's important to connect us to a bigger story. And I must make a confession for this reading. It's a great little passage. It's the longest one we do. And I cut 2 sections out of it to fit it onto the page this week. And then I actually sat down to do the work on what I'm going to say and realised, crap, I cut out the 2 most important parts. But yes, Irma.
I want to know, how come there are 153 fish and who counted them?
We will get to that because I have 2 poor answers for that question, right? But it's funny because this is John 21. John 20 ends like this. The purpose of this book. Now, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book, but these were written so that you may come to believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and that through believing you may have life in his name. That kind of feels like a good place to end, right? It feels a bit like a happily ever after. And so there's a lot of people that go, why the heck was this chapter 21? And they've kind of postulated that it was added in later and it's not really important. And they've tried to cut it out, but it's still there. Life's a bit like that too, right? We have these happy ever after moments that seem to end, and then we wake up in the morning and realise, crap, we've got to do this again. Life has a way of interrupting our best plans. Children are born in love, but they certainly change your plans for life, don't they? They make big changes in our lives. But I'd like us to just walk through this a little bit, but I'm going to add the part that I cut out here. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he showed himself together in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas the twin, Nathanael of Cana, and a couple of others. Don't worry about them. Simon said to them, I'm going fishing. Right, that's where we get to where you are. Even the first thing about the Sea of Tiberias, that's important. Because it's never called the Sea of Tiberias except here in this book, because it's normally known as the Sea of Galilee, right? But what happened when the Roman Empire took over? They took over the land and they renamed everything. Every time we together we acknowledge country, right? And it's an important thing for us to do, not only for honour and respect, but it's also, I think, a good reminder. Do we want to live in the kind of world that lives by conquest and war? Or do we want to live in the kind of world as the Aboriginal ancestors of this land did, which is to understand this world as a place to live in harmony with? We'd like to think that we are so much more advanced than the people we read about in this strange culture and in this strange world. But, the more I learn about it, the more I realise how we're not that different. We still are living through wars, and particularly one huge war, where it's all a battle over territory and possession, and everyone's claiming that God's on their side as they go about doing whatever it is they need to do, and God's up the top going, could you stop blaming me for being pricks? Right? What kind of world do we want to live in? These people back then, they used to count amongst their possessions not only how much cash they had and how much stock they had in cattle, They used to count children and women as their possessions. And we think, how could they have, right? How much more advanced are we? But you know, right now, we still think we own land in this country. I wonder if their grandkids will one day go, how did people think that they owned land? Look at how much war and pain and suffering was caused by people wanting to put their stamp on a place of dirt. You know, for so long, so many of our decisions were based on weird things. And that was, what do I need to do to get to heaven? You know, what's right and what's wrong? And you'd come to a bloke like me and ask me, and whatever was my bias, I'd tell you was right and wrong. And you'd think morality would come through this kind of conversation. But I think in the future, morality should come from the earth. What decisions do I make, and how do they impact this piece of ground that we all share? What's the point in winning a war if there's no world to live on? Right? That's the kind of morality we need. And, you know, we'd sometimes thought, you know, you'd hear phrases like, this world ain't my home, I'm just a passing through. You know, and what do we do now is just to get to heaven, and hopefully we get there in the great book. It's all a load of crap, right? The whole story in the Bible starts in a garden, the Garden of Eden. It actually ends in another garden in Revelation 21, and at the middle of that garden is the tree of life. This isn't about escaping this earth. This is about becoming better humans on it. And that's, I think, the heart of what this little reading's about, is how do we become better people for this world? How do we become those people? How do we become the change we want to see? How do we put love in our hearts, and how do we not just pray that for little Frankie there? We don't just pray for little Cooper there, we pray for ourselves. How do we become better people? And there's a few hints in here, right? Because we've got to have a little faith if we're going to make that happen. And the three, I love this is the book of John, right? And he's got all these characters that he names, Peter, James, blah, blah, blah. But then he calls this other character the one that Jesus loved. Guess who that is? It's himself. I reckon if I wrote this book, I would have done that too. Jesus' favourite, who I'm not going to name, but was me. No. So they go fishing, right? And that's pretty ordinary. Bunch of blokes. I think, you know why I think blokes like fishing and sitting around fires talking rubbish? Because we don't know what our ancestors did. We don't know what their lives were like. But we can be pretty sure that at some point they probably went fishing and then lit a fire and sat around talking rubbish. Right? And it's the one thing that connects us in to our heritage and to our ancestors. There are three that are named here. They're important people that are named. It's Peter, Simon Peter, it's Nathaniel, and it's Thomas. What do they all have in common? Is at some point they all expressed deep doubts, right? Nathaniel said, "What?" When they heard about Jesus right at the start, he goes, "You know where he's from? What good can come out of that joint?" Right? It'd be like saying, "What good can come out of Mount Druitt? What good can come out of Blacktown? What good can come out of Mermaid Waters?" You know? I don't know, I've just picked a suburb in the Gold Coast. You know, that was Nathaniel. Thomas, everyone said, "Oh, Jesus is back." Thomas is like, no, he's not. I don't believe any of you. And I'm not going to believe it till I grab the bloke. And Peter, we all know Peter got everything wrong, didn't he? Right? Peter, the ultimate, I call him the ultimate American, right? Because you know, Americans always overpromise and underdeliver. We underpromise and overdeliver, right? That's what we do, you know. And we're never straight in this country. I don't mean we're always stoned, but you know, we don't tell you how things are. We tell you how things are not. You know, like Carl Barron, right? So what does Carl Barron say? You know, when you ask an Aussie, "How are you?" What do we say? Not bad. Not bad, right? When you receive bad news, you know, how did that make you feel? Not good. And when you heard that, what happened? When that thing didn't go the way you think, how did that go? You go, "Oh, I was not happy," right, at the end of it. Right? That's how we do it. Oh, did you... I don't know, everyone missed this. We're so Aussie that we completely miss this. That poor guy that was eaten by the shark a couple of weeks ago, you remember him in Malabar? So he was pretty much ripped to pieces. And they kind of put his body back on the shore, and every news article you read about it said the same thing. When the paramedics arrived, there was not much they could do. Right? There was not much, there was nothing they could do. Right? See, but Peter's the opposite, right? He's always like, "Yes, right, this is it. I'm going to do it. So, there's a little scene there where Jesus is washing everyone's feet, and Peter's like, you can't do that to me, mate. That's not going to work. And Jesus says, if you don't let me do this, you don't get what I'm on about. All right? And then Peter, what does he say? Well, don't just wash my feet, wash my head and my hands and my whole body. All right? He always just overdoes it. In fact, he goes overboard here. He jumps over on the boat. They're only 100 metres out. There's a weird passage that you can only understand if you're an Indian in here, which says he got dressed, then went swimming. Right? Right? See, you guys, you take your clothes off to go swimming. We put it on. Right? Have you seen how many people are drowning in saris on Bondi Rescue? It's ridiculous. Right? And it's that sign, and and he gets all the attention in this part. But you know what? How about the other blokes that actually have to bring the boat back in, right? So often it's the people up the front that get all the adulation. And I get a lot of praise, but it's the people that turn up every day that open the doors and clean the floors and work carefully with others as they're trying to get their lives back together. They're the ones who deserve all the credit. The ones who are pumping away in the background. And your life might feel like you're always living with someone who's in the limelight, but you know that you're doing all the work. Well, you're just as important, in fact, more important to what's going on here. Peter gets off, he swims the whole 100 metres fully clothed, and he sits with Jesus, who's sitting by a fire cooking up. And there's another scene a bit earlier where there's another fire, and I don't know if you remember what happens around that fire, but Peter's by that fire, and that's where he's asked 3 times this one question, right? And basically he commits the greatest sin an Aussie can, which is he betrays a mate. He gives a mate up. Hey, you know Jesus, don't you? He goes, I don't know him. No, you're with him. No, I'm not. I don't even know who you're talking about. So there's this beautiful kind of moment there where Jesus asks him by another fire 3 different times, do you love me? Right? And it's this kind of beautiful way of kind of wrapping this thing up, of forgiving him. And they've dragged in 153 fish, right? I tell you what, here's my crack, right? Everyone's had a crack at what the 153 means. And let's not get too hung up on numbers, but there are 2 important bad answers that I'm going to give is some clever dick counted up all the number of times Jesus was asked a question in the Bible, and it was 153. Do you know how many times he actually answered? 3 times, right? He only answered 3 times, and so often those of us who are trying to live a good life and trying to follow in the ways of this guru called Jesus is we think it's our job to have all the answers, right? Well, that's not the example we're given. Can we stop trying to be people who give answers? Because let's face it, out of the glories of my wisdom, 90% of what comes out of my mouth is rubbish, and the other 10% is made up, right? Is how instead of being people who give answers, we live the questions with people. Why is there suffering? Why is there pain? Why can't this happen for me? Why am I being told no? Why is my child not well? Why is my partner sick? How can we live the questions together? See where that goes. The other important thing is from the cultural historical studies, Irma, is that, by the way, Irma's portrayed in the Wayside Bride as well. You're right there. So it'd be good to see yourself portrayed. It's the most bizarre experience, let me tell you. But I wish you're portrayed by a 6-foot African as well. But that's the greatest thing. Is that's how many countries they felt that they believed were around in the ancient world. There was about 153. Let's think about that for a second. Jesus is basically saying, and there's a little detail in there that says they dragged in, and I don't know which idiot counted 153 fish, but someone did, is they dragged it in and the net didn't break, right? This message is big enough for everyone. It's for the whole world. When a community closes its doors, it becomes a cult, right? And yet often we get into these things because we haven't found acceptance somewhere else. We find a mob that accepts us. We think it's great. But then we kind of get nervous because we say, if we let everyone in, then who are we anymore? Right? So we close the doors and suddenly we close ourselves off. Right? And we become these communities of conformity that only confirm our own biases. And I tell you what, the world doesn't need mobs that don't understand each other. It needs more mobs that can actually learn how to open the doors again. This place is built on Ted's legacy of opening the door. and saying, why do churches have their doors closed 6.5 days a week? Right? Let's throw it open 7 days and see what happens. My God, we make a difference in this world. What a surprise. Right? So there's a message big enough for the whole world. By the way, it's not our job to work out who doesn't belong here, because nobody doesn't belong. Everyone belongs. Regardless of background, gender, sexuality, preference, anything, you're a child of the universe. Therefore, you are a part of us and we are a part of you. And you help me become more human and I help you become more patient. I think that's what my wife says anyway. So we're all a part of this great chain of being and we'll continue on in it. There's this beautiful thing that I'll end on here though, is because we're called to this big life of love. And we lose the translation here when Jesus says, do you love me? Right? Do you love me? And Peter says, you know I love you. Right? Remember, this is Peter who's always overpromised, who goes overboard, who always overdoes. Right? And actually, if you look at the Greek, Jesus is asking him, do you agape me? Agape me is the kind of love that lays down its life for someone else. The kind of love you see a mama give a baby. Right? Saying, not my will, but yours. What do you need in this place? Right? And Peter answers with, you know I philios you, which is like you. Right? So he's asking, do you agape me? And he's answering, I like you. So the first 2 times he's like, will you give yourself up for this? And Peter goes, and I think it's beautiful. Peter says, no, all I can give you is my like. And then he says, well, take care of the little ones, right? Take care of the lambs. And then he asks him again, do you agape me, mate? And he says, you know I like you, right? And he says, well, take care of the big ones too. And then Jesus' third question is different. He says, mate, do you like me? Do you like me? And Peter, it says he's upset. But this book was written by a bloke, and let me guarantee you 99 times out of 98 times when a bloke writes about what his emotion is, he gets it wrong, right? You know, most of what we think as blokes is anger is just sadness, right? We just get it wrong every time. Well, I'm angry, I'm hungry, I'm horny. And then seriously, there's got to be more than 3 emotions, right? Serious. That means, I'm feeling angry. Sorry. Kids in the room, sorry. Actually, I think he's finally realising, finally Peter's at this point where he's finally offering who he is. And he's saying to Jesus, this is all I got. And what's the beautiful answer? All you've got is all I want, mate. All you've got to give is all I want. I meet so many people who have screwed up so many times, and guess what? That is the beautiful prerequisite for being a part of what we're on about. All right? If you're perfect, please leave now. If you've never done anything wrong, I'm not sure there's anything we can do here. But if you are actually busted and you know it, you're accepted and you're loved. All you've got is all you need. And then is all that's wanted. Because you can all of a sudden then live a life where you have access to a power source so much bigger than yourself. And you can call out and say, God, help me. And you don't need to pray a good prayer like, Dear Jesus, thee, thou, then, they, thou, blah, blah, whatever that means. Right? It's those kinds of prayers that are 3 o'clock in the morning where your kid hasn't slept for 48 hours and you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm over it. That's a good prayer. I've prayed 2 of those prayers. One was when the babies wouldn't sleep. The other was when my mates taught me how to surf and didn't tell me about rips and anything. And they just said, just point the board along that. And all of a sudden they were surfing and I was 400 metres out in the middle of Phillip Island near Shark Bay. And there were seals all around me. And I thought, oh, well, that's even more dangerous because seals are basically great white shark nuggets. And I was dressed up in a black wetsuit. I thought, I'm just the next nugget. Oh, God, help me. I promise I'll never swear again. All right? That promise lasted 3 minutes. But you have access to a power source that you can pray for. God, help me. God, help me. Right? And I'm not going to say what happens next because it's different for you all. Something different will happen. To describe it would cheapen it. There is access. All you've got is all that is wanted. That is the prerequisite for membership in this place, is to know that you're wanted. That's what this communion is. Jesus was sitting there going, I need a really big symbolic moment. Oh, by the way, Jesus being beside the beach, the most magnificent things happen in the most mundane moments, right? Don't they? The invitations to love come to us as such a surprise and a shock. Sorry, this is the longest sermon I've ever done here, right? But I just think this is so important. If I'm boring you, let me know and I'll stop. All right? Is the invitations to love come so silently and quietly we can miss them? I had one this morning, but I'll tell you about a story about a dad who worked really hard, was never at home with the kids, and then one Saturday morning, his missus was fast asleep, and he thought, and his toddler was awake, 2 years old, and he said, I'll take her shopping, we'll go shopping, and then she was so well behaved, he said, let's go get some Maccas, and this Jesus cooking fish by the beach is just like meeting someone at Macca's, right? And he was sitting there distracted. He got his daughter some of the breakfast there at Macca's, and he was asking the question. He was basically saying, the toddler kept saying to him, love you, Daddy, love you, Daddy, love you, Daddy. And he was on his phone. Not that any of us parents do that ever when we're with kids, right? Or when we're on dates or with other people. The phone's never in our hands, is it? And he realised what he was doing, and he said, I love you too, darling. And she said, more. And he was on his phone, and he kind of said, more. You have some more chips, have some more hash brown, have some more of this thing. And she said, more, Daddy, more, Daddy, more. Love you. And all of a sudden he realised what was happening in that moment. She was wanting a little conversation. So he put his phone down, and he said, I love you. And she said, more, Daddy, more. And he said, I love you because of your smile. She said, more, Daddy, more. Well, I love you because of your laugh. More, Daddy, more. More, Daddy, more. All of a sudden, this mundane, everyday moment became a divine one, where suddenly he recognised what was happening in that moment. And life is full of those moments, right? The present one is always present. It's just us who are absent. All you've got is all that's needed. So Jesus looked, he picked up this, he said, we're going to create a special moment out of a mundane one. What do we got? All we got is bread and ribena. That'll do. Right? I want you to know that as you take this bread and as you drink this ribena, is that I am in you. That's why they didn't recognise Jesus on the shore after this, and they kept not recognising him after the resurrection. It wasn't because he looked different, it's because he suddenly resided in you and me. Right? He's alive in us. And if we're awake to those moments that we're invited to love, then he is a part of us and we are a part of him. We're a part of making this world a better place. So, I'm going to invite you down. The brioche. Bread Wendy has come to the fore again. My kids call Wendy Bread Wendy. She always brought the bread. We had that beautiful rainbow loaf a couple of years ago. All you've got's all that's needed. You're all welcome. These are the gifts of God for the people of God. That makes it you. I invite you to come forward to just bring all you've got, because it's all that's needed in this place, and to know that you are loved. These are the gifts of God for the people of God. As you take them into you, I want you to go away and realise that you are a part of this great chain of being that's existed from before time and will continue far after you. But you get to be a part of it right now. Come forward. The body and the blood of Christ. Ooh, we've gone over time. Let's all stand together and I'll just pray one blessing to send you on your way. May the peace of Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness, protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders he has shown you. May he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors. Go in peace, everyone. Amen. Thank you. Feel free to stick around for lunch. Thanks. No.